With the mid-size SUV segment slowly shrinking, Honda is looking to reclaim its lost glory by entering the highly competitive mid-size SUV segment. And this car, the long-awaited Honda Elevate, is the SUV for the job.
It isn't an overstatement when I say that the Elevate has been one of the most anticipated cars of the year. It marks Honda's maiden voyage to the shark-infested waters that are the mid-size SUV segment. And at a time when Honda Cars India is just about getting by with the Amaze and the City, the Elevate can mean a new lease of life for the brand.
Now, the Elevate enters highly competitive territory because it's already got segment leaders like the Creta and the Seltos, which have a very firm foothold in the segment. So the question is, can the aura and the halo that continues to surround Honda and Honda's trademark build quality help the brand sort of carve out a big chunk of this mid-size SUV segment for itself? Does the Honda Elevate have what it takes to be, if not the segment leader, a fairly prominent player in the mid-size SUV space? Let's find out.
In profile, the Elevate is an unapologetically boxy SUV, marking a new design direction for Honda in India. It's nearly identical to its rivals like the Creta and the Seltos when it comes to wheelbase and overall dimensions, although it is a bit more on the nose with the SUV styling cues when compared to its rivals. Still, there are plenty of highlights such as LED projector headlamps and tail lamps, along with 17-inch alloys. In fact, things get even more impressive when you step inside.
Now, as far as interior quality goes, Honda hasn't really missed a trick. As you can see, things look very high quality, very well finished here. Thankfully, there are no chrome embellishments, so it's got a slightly understated look. There's a 10.25-inch touchscreen, which is actually very easy to operate. You also get connected car features, and for the first time you can actually unlock, set the temperature just using your smartwatch if you have one, be it Apple or Android. Speaking of Apple and Android, you do get wireless connectivity. You get this sunroof, which can be opened with just one click of a button, a nice little cavity to charge your phone, and really well thought out interior in terms of just the storage pockets and the overall storage cavities around. So it's roomy, it's not imposing. Of course, the steering is a busy one with a lot of buttons for the ADAS function, so lane keep assist, adaptive cruise control. So on the whole, it's a really nice space to be in.
The Elevate also offers plenty of storage space, although it does have a few drawbacks as well.
Now, this 1.5-litre naturally aspirated VTEC might be an absolute peach of a motor, but in not offering a hybrid powertrain as an optional, Honda has missed the trick, and it has limited the potential and the prospects of the Elevate, because let's face it, the Grand Vitara has a perfectly nice hybrid option, and it's actually seeing considerable demand. Add to the fact that Honda does not actually offer a diesel engine option either, unlike its chief competitor, the Hyundai Creta and the Kia Seltos. Buyers only have this naturally aspirated option to look for, and that's a bit lamentable. Of course, now Honda maintains that it's looking directly at the electrified version of the Elevate, which will arrive by 2025. And in doing so, it has completely bypassed the hybrid option, arguably because the GST slab makes it not very cost effective. But we have seen demand in this segment. We have seen plenty of takers for the Grand Vitara hybrid. So it is rather confusing why Honda chose to completely ignore that and go straight for the 1.5-litre naturally aspirated option and later an electric one.
And then there's the matter of how well equipped the Elevate is.
Now, Honda, of course, hasn't revealed the price of the Honda Elevate. We're going to see that later in September when it's launched. But as far as managing costs go, Honda has made some questionable decisions, starting with this drum brake at the back. Now, this is the top-end automatic version, and even in that, you get drum brakes at the back, which Honda says is more than sufficient. But it's a little contradictory, because on one hand, you're going with ADAS, which enhances safety, and on the other hand, you're not giving customers an option to go for disc brakes. And once again, it's done in the name of managing costs, but with the competition actually bragging about this and offering disc brakes at the back, it is something that could deter a few customers.
There are other misses as well, such as electronic seat adjustment for the driver's seat, another feature that's absent even from the top-end segment. Still, the addition of ADAS along with connected car functions means the elevator is high on some, if not all, features. But does its powertrain hold up under scrutiny?
Now let's talk powertrain, and well, there's not that much to talk about because you only get the 1.5 litre naturally aspirated VTEC. And of course, in terms of powertrain, it's pretty much identical to the Honda City. It's essentially a elevated version of that, pardon the pun. Now, as far as naturally aspirated engines in this category go, this makes the maximum amount of power, 121 bhp, which is actually pretty neat. And it's a VTEC, so that kind of sits in a league of its own. But there are more powerful options. Of course, the competition offers that at a higher price. So as far as taking a naturally aspirated unit in isolation goes, this one is pretty good.
Peppy though the engine is, its zestful spirit is once again dampened by that CVT gearbox.
Now, the uphill battle for Honda, of course, is that the competition has surged ahead in the years that Honda missed out on. And so the Elevate really has to nail every possible criteria, every metric to really stand out. And to do that, Honda claims to have differentiated this from the City by making a few tweaks. Starting with the CVT, which they say has a step-up shift feature, which makes it a little more responsive on uphill climbs like these. And yes, the CVT has improved considerably from where it was years ago, but is it right up there with a torque converter? No. And it isn't very effectively able to milk the power that this engine has to offer. On downhill runs like this one, it's supposed to have step-down shift, which allows for more effective engine braking. And once again, it's not something that shouts out at you. It doesn't. The effects are rather subtle. It's also on the noisy side for such a refined petrol engine, and that's a little unfortunate because Honda has made claims of insulating this cabin a little better, and that's something of a strong suit for this car when compared to the competition. Yes, it is an otherwise quiet ride. The ride quality is absolutely phenomenal. The suspension calibration is wonderful. But the CVT does make a little bit of noise. And make no mistake, the CVT is going to be the largest selling version of this car. Honda claimed that for all the other products, even the Amaze and the Honda City, it's essentially the top-end versions which occupy lion's share of the sales, and it's going to be the same here. In fact, the CVT is likely to be about 70% of the Elevate sales are going to come from the CVT.
Thankfully, some definitive Honda attributes remain.
Now, Honda claims to have engineered the C and D pillar of the car in such a way that those segments are actually well connected, and that helps control body roll. And while handling isn't one of those major attributes that a lot of customers are looking for, let's not forget that this is ultimately a Honda, and dynamic performance kind of comes with the brand. So I'm really happy that Honda has prioritized handling, and that even though outright multiple powertrain options are not on the table, good handling is. And honestly, this does handle better than most mid-size SUVs. Of course, they all get monocoques, and they're all fairly adept in that regard, particularly the Volkswagen Taygun and the Skoda Kushaq, which are benchmarks. But that said, this is actually quite impressive, and the attempts to manage body roll have really paid off.
Does the Elevate have what it takes to dominate the segment? That depends on which side of Honda fandom you're on. To die-hard Honda loyalists, the finish, safety attributes, and aspirational quality of a Honda simply cannot be matched. The Elevate isn't likely to be the segment leader, and the Creta is in no danger of being dethroned. But what the Elevate will do is carve out a space for itself, shining brightly within its cadre of naturally aspirated mid-size SUVs. One thing is for certain, Honda is back in the game.